Say Coraline escapes her dreary life in the real world, so to speak, to live with her other parents in the other world. I suppose the film conclude well. It seems to suggest that, say, um, well, I think as Coraline and the cat walk through some kind of empty wasteland, it's revealed that this world has simply been created to impress Coraline. It would seem to suggest that, say, whatever you experience in real life, you have your imagination to retreat to, which is a good moral. But uh, when she, well, of course, we soon find out that these parents are counterfeit, and they have, quite a malevolent agenda with Coraline. Um, Naturally, she escapes back to her real world, to the boring, cobwebby, uh, her mundane life there. Um, I think the happy ending seemed to come out of nowhere. Um, it almost seemed as if the film was suggesting that, say, nowhere you can go is perfect. That is also true, but it's not a very nice moral for children.
And I guess that is the thing. It's kind of a complex idea for a children's movie. If this is indeed what we should be catching as the moral, but yeah, that nothing is perfect, but everything, but it has its moments. I guess would be
That's good.
yeah, that's what the ending would suggest. Because I lended this film to my mother, and her reaction was, "Yeah, I'm glad everything kind of worked out there, but her mother is still kind of a bitch."
Yeah.
You know, so and the marriage of the two parents is, they're still kind of bickery, but it's not perfect, I guess, is the thing. But is the moral. Yeah, that whole thing about not necessarily needing perfection to be happy. But I'm not sure if you can get that if you're a kid. It might just kind of depress you.
Yeah. And on that note, this was quite a magical, pleasant film to look at. Most of the scenes were resplendent. They were, beautiful to look at. But several of the scenes were, in which the other mother reveals herself, reveals her true colors, so to speak. They were quite, I'd even go so far as to say, disturbing.
Oh yeah.
You, as with Monster House, you probably shouldn't take a young child to see this film.
Yeah, I'm not sure which would be worse, actually.
Yeah?
Monster House, where a demented circus lady ends up dying under being drowned in cement, or this film where a eyeless spider demon chases down a little girl.
Actually, Monster House. Yeah, I would say that Monster House is probably more frightening. It would probably be more frightening for a kid, in that it does depict a savage predator of a house, rather than just a sniveling, plotting enemy in the form of the other mother.
Yeah.
I'm always, I tend to be intrigued by the villains in a piece. They often tend to interest me more than the heroes. That might sound a little weird. It's true. Yeah. But I think the other mother is probably less openly disturbing, less in your face than the enemy in Monster House.
Yeah, I would say though, I guess I do get freaked out by enemies that, I mean, if they can kill you, a big deal. But this lady, she traps souls.
Yeah.
That's something eternal, and that makes it a lot scarier in concept, not in the pure visual chase you down aspect. But yeah, and I guess that's something you were wanting to talk about. I guess is the scariness of the film. I would say that once you get down to that point where the kids' souls, the eyeless kids' souls, go ask her for help, and you realize, oh, she has to do more than just escape this, doesn't she? So she's gonna have to risk her own soul before the film is done, and that makes it a very, very effective, dramatic third act, I guess.
It was, yes. I think one of the topics we considered for this conversation was whether it's responsible to create a horror film for kids. What are your thoughts on that? Let's say, what are your further thoughts?
I see. I would say yes, just because fear is something that's gonna be in someone's life, and I'm not sure how responsible it is to give kids fear of things that aren't probably going to happen, like crazy spider demons. But at the same time, yeah, it's fear is something that can drive people. And if you don't expose them to it, whether it be in the old-fashioned way through Grimm's fairy tales or other scary folk tales, or through movies like this, it's going to leave something out of their lives.
And of course, well, what is Halloween if not, I suppose, the presentation of fear as something you can have fun with? Say,
right.
Horror. Well, Halloween, unfortunately, doesn't tend to be observed very often here in Australia. I still celebrate it, but no one else seems to. But yeah, well, horror movies are, of course, major forms of entertainment each year. So.
Yeah. Well, that's actually really kind of sad, though. Australia, or I was going to say Australia is my favorite holiday. Halloween is pretty much my favorite holiday. And I do know that some places don't pay it much mind.
Yeah. Well, I remember I asked a couple of my friends and even a couple of my teachers a few years ago whether they observe Halloween, and they actually told me that they don't celebrate Halloween because it's an American holiday. For one, that's not true, and two, why should it matter? Yeah. But actually, my family and I, my birthday is in January, a time at which most of my friends would be on their own holidays. So we actually celebrated my birthday on Halloween.
Oh.
Yeah. It was actually, essentially, a big social event among our friends. We actually held a sort of Halloween banquet in which we prepared, ghastly-looking foods from regular ingredients. Say we had the eyeball salad from hard-boiled eggs. It was a terrific night. But now we've moved into a really tiny cottage, so we can't do that anymore.
I see. Still, and yeah, so at some level, it seems like you, I didn't mean to make that sound weird, at some level, but you do recognize sort of the value of a good childhood scare. And if I may mention, Neil Gaiman is a good guy to do it.
I've only actually ever read one piece of his. I came across one volume of his Sandman graphic novel series in the local library. I believe it was World's End. That was quite interesting to read. Have you read that one?
I haven't read much of Sandman. With what I was referring back to actually was am I thinking of the right guy? Did he also do Labyrinth and a few other films like that?